having all the standardized data that, SmartPad's creating and creating a level of visibility into a job, but it's also giving you a better ability to trust the data. Are we seeing more of an opportunity to create more of a standardization just around how the frac jobs are actually done on the day?
Yeah, absolutely. I think with that so you do have some variability with your on-site guys who are calling the jobs, right? You're always going to have, it's a human nature you'll have somebody who may be a little bit more aggressive in pushing rate, or a little bit more aggressive in some of their chemicals, or a little bit more relaxed in one regard or the other.
Yeah.
I've got a customer right now, or a client right now, that's trying to get some more standardization in how his guys are calling each individual stage.
Yeah.
And just looking back at it, not from a tattletale, not from a disciplinary or crack the whip type perspective, but more of hey, like, we just want standardization for costing.
Mm-hmm.
If I want all my guys calling it the same way, using roughly the same amount of chemicals in the same scenario, as opposed to somebody who's like, oh, well, just throw some more chemical at it, or more FR, or we could go more rate, but we don't really need to. And so when you can standardize those human kind of decision making,
taking the guesswork out of it a little bit, you're creating more of a here's the plan based on all the data that we've got.
Yep, here's the plan. Let's not be so random in how we do it, but a little bit more standardized. And that way they can, their daily costs can be a little bit more standardized.
So in the last few years, have you had a customer who's utilized the data coming in from SmartPad in an unusual way, or an interesting way? Like, have you been kind of surprised at how customers are actually taking advantage of the tool?
I think probably the most random, and I love this one, but I was talking to a company rep for one of our clients, and just asked them, kind of a random question. I was like, how are you using this on a daily? And these guys work shifts, or like rotation. So it might be, 2 weeks on, 1 week off, whatever their case is. And he goes, you know what the most random way I use it? And I was like, no, how? And he goes, I figure out how I'm going to buy my groceries.
Okay.
And I was like, whoa, okay, explain. And he goes, well, if I'm coming in, I log into SmartPad like a day or two before, and I can see how far along in the well we are, how far along in the job. Is it going good, or is it going bad? What is my mindset when I come in? Am I walking into a situation where the crews are crushing it and everything's running smoothly? Or am I walking into something where there's tremendous issues and it's going to be, okay, we've got to come in and try to get this going back in the right direction.
Yep.
And then on the grocery side of things, he goes, am I going to be out there for 4 days or 7 before we move to the next pad?
Yep.
And so he goes, I might only buy 5 days worth of groceries, so I have less to move over. Or I might buy 10 because it's going really crappy and I've got at least 7 to 10 days left.
Okay, well, this is an interesting piece, because I'm just thinking that, and maybe this affects larger operators maybe differently, but just thinking about all of the resources that are deployed on some of these larger jobs, there's a lot of complexity just around the logistics, right? Mm-hmm. And trying to forecast, when are we going to be able to deploy assets from one job to another job? We're probably seeing an opportunity that this data is allowing you to maybe project, when are we going to complete a job potentially, and get an idea for when are we freeing up a fleet? When are we able to move to a different job?
Yep, absolutely. So, I mean, take just sand logistics, for instance.
Yeah.
That's a big one. We're talking to some of the, sand storage people on location, sand storage service companies, all the time. One of the big things on trucking is demurrage. Too many trucks on location, you're running up the bill. Not enough trucks on location, you're running out of sand.
Yeah.
That all comes like a human calling, dispatch and be like, hey, yeah, slow the trucks down, fracs down for a couple hours.
Yep.
How do we get that to be a little bit more effective and a little bit more on the money, as opposed to just somebody's opinion?
Yep.
And that comes from like the real time MPT and stuff like that, where you can kind of level load the trucks at that point.
Yep.
If you're running, your frac crew's crushing it, you're knocking stages out left and right. Maybe you need to add more trucks to the push.
Yep.
To make sure that you're at full capacity every time.
Yeah.
And if there's struggles on location, pressure, wireline gets stuck in the hole, water transfers down, all of a sudden those trucks pull back, and you kind of limit the cost, stage over stage, right?
Yep.
Instead of paying off that standby for the truckers, you're actually paying only for the deliveries.